Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Gottingham here with Hannah Burr. Hello, Hannah.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing good. It is a slow time in the Star Wars world right now.
Yep, which makes
So
sense because with us celebration coming up.
that's right. And nothing until Andor comes out as far as content goes. So a lot to ponder as we kind of see what's going to be coming out of Celebration. But first and foremost, as always, thanks to our patrons. You know, we got a couple comments to go over from our patrons, but love the support. We really appreciate it as always. And again, we're here doing this every week mainly because of you guys. So thank you everybody for that support. Even though we don't have too much to talk about, so
We always say that and we always find something to talk.
I know, but I really think this might be a shorter episode. We'll see. Okay, on our last episode where we had a big discussion about Luke Skywalker, the character showing up in Batuu, at Galaxy's Edge. Here's Thrawn talking about that. Our good friend Thrawn, he says, very jealous of all the Batuu talk. Really want to go, just waiting for both my kids to get a little older so they can enjoy the experience more. Great. Pleasantly surprised they are doing a Bad Batch novel, especially since the series has now ended. Thought it would have made more sense to release Bad Batch novels comics in between seasons to keep the hype for it. But I'm still looking forward to reading it and getting more stories from these characters. Good point. I mean,
That's a good point.
this isn't a post season 3 novel. Takes place during season 2. So yeah, you would think that they would do that.
But who knows why they released it now? I mean, it could just come down simply to they had to keep pushing it back for some reason.
That's more than likely the problem is that they have the idea during the season and then it just takes this long to get it out, you know? So yeah, that's probably the case. I mean, some of these things don't just yeah, the timing of these things sometimes is a little off. We got a different comment here from I love this handle. It's Spooky Jawa.
I love that.
And they just had a really nice thing to say on our last episode. It just says, that intro is so sick. So I'm assuming it's our holocron intro that they're talking about. And they say, I love this channel so much and I'm new. Anyways, can't wait to see more stuff on this channel.
Welcome.
So welcome. Yeah. Spooky Jawa. Thank you. That's great. Keep coming back because we are getting more content on here. We have some more Beyond the Sagas coming out. Martin and I are actually getting a couple council sessions done this weekend. Got some big topics. One big topic, which I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this. Maybe I'll tell you right now, then maybe you can tell me later after you think about it.
Right.
But one of the topics we're going to talk about is basically the question is, to you, what is the most significant scene or moment in any of the live action Disney Plus shows?
Oh, the Disney Plus shows.
Yes. Like what is probably up there as most significant moment in your mind, or not necessarily the best moment, but like what is kind of significant, impactful, like Ahsoka fighting Anakin, or Luke showing up, or, Grogu's appearance, things like that. It's like, what is pretty significant when it comes to that. So think about that one.
Take time.
Think about that one. Okay. You had texted me about this apparent light show or something. Why don't you mention that?
Yes. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. So there's a new Star Wars Galaxy Edge projection show coming. And apparently what this show is going to be is that it's going to basically be a highlight of the Skywalker Saga. And it's called Shadows of Memory, a Skywalker Saga. It looks like it's only happening in Disneyland, and it's gonna start showing roughly March 28th, I think. Is that what it said? March 28th?
Yeah, I think so.
Did we say March? Yeah, March 28th. And that's also roughly when we're supposedly going to get Luke walking around.
It's all there. It's all pretty much their lead up to Star Wars Day kind of stuff, you know, where we talked about last week a little bit, where they turn Space Mountain into Hyperspace Mountain, things like that, you know.
In Disneyland, not Disney World.
In Disneyland, yes. Disneyland Park, where Galaxy's Edge is part of that park, where in Disney World it's part of Hollywood Studios. But that, I don't know why they wouldn't put it in Hollywood Studios either. Like that. So it's a light show, looks like on the background of where like the Millennium Falcon is, right? Is that what it looks like? Yeah.
It looks like it's by Smuggler's Run.
Those big black spires. Mm-hmm. Those big spires in the back.
Those walls, canyon walls.
Yeah. That is awesome. I bet you that would be. Did you ever see? I'm sure you did. Did you see the Star Wars show that they used to do at Hollywood on the on Man's Chinese Theater?
It was so cool.
I know, right? Like when we went in 2015, that was like our first family trip down there. It was running, and I remember like standing there, like, this is like the best thing I've ever seen. And that was before like the sequel trilogy came out, right? It was on the cusp there. It was just the original trilogy, the prequels. It was a great show. And I remember I live streamed it back home, and like friends of mine here were like, this is incredible, you know? So I don't know why they got rid of that. Cause I think, you know, the show now is, it's not that, it's like, it's an animation thing and it's not that good, but
I mean, honestly, you could ask a lot of questions like, why did they get rid of the Millennium Walk? Why did they get rid of Illuminations? Like,
yeah.
So
yeah, I know, but it is frustrating a little bit that they do this. They're doing this at Disneyland and not Disney World, which I would think that it will get there. Maybe it'll get there, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. But the implications of that is huge, because that means they're covering all the Skywalker Saga.
Yes.
And Batu is set in a certain time.
Yeah. Right now it is, yes. But it seems like they're breaking that. They're going to be breaking that soon.
Exactly. I was just about to say this is just a continuation of the conversation we had last week, saying how it looks like they're slowly breaking this. So that's why it really stood out to me, the new show and the fact that it looks like they're starting to break this whole, which is good. You and I talked about it, and they should break it if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I failed to mention and remind everybody, like when we were talking about last week, is they are shifting Smuggler's Run, because you can do it because it's, you know, it's a video screen, right? So because sometime next year, before Mandalorian and Grogu, they're going to be on the ride. Like they're going to be flying outside the cockpit.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Right. So they are already able to shift that around. Now you can't do anything about, again, Rise of the Resistance, because there's so many practicals there that they'd have to change. But it's okay. Again, if you're in different eras, it's okay that's in that era. That ride is in that era, which means you should put another ride in there from a different era, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyway,
I really, really hope they were going to turn the Halcyon into like a Jedi temple where you can do a bunch of Jedi trials.
Yeah, see that would have been the thing to do, making it an attraction and not just a hotel. Yeah,
or an escape room almost. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could have turned it into a ride. I mean, it's on a ship as itself, right? You could have turned it into another kind of experience. I don't know how you get people over there, because it's actually a little bit of it's like across the highway, but
yeah, it is.
I'm sure they can figure out a way to get a tunnel or something. You know.
Heck, you can take the old or you know that tram at the Orlando airport?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
get one of those and just have it be like they
Little
go,
shuttle. Yeah.
oh no, 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 what you can do is what they do at Universal and Islands. They connected the two Harry Potter lands with a ride on the Hogwarts Express.
Train, right? Yeah, the train,
Yeah,
right?
and as you ride, you look out the window and there's like different scenes playing and you're seeing the scenery.
Oh, really?
Why not do that? Yeah, oh yeah. It depends. When we rode it, Dementors came and attacked our
Oh,
train.
really? Oh,
Like it's a
wow.
whole thing. So why not do something like that?
Yeah, that would be the thing to do for sure. That would be the thing to do. I gotta ride that uh, Universal thing. We're talking about going at some point.
You should go. You
Yeah,
absolutely should go. It's
I think we're gonna
Disney
wait till I think we're gonna wait till Epic opens.
smart. And like the thing is, Disney pays very close attention to detail, but I'm sorry. The Harry Potter two worlds,
Oh,
like
really? Yeah.
Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, mind blown.
Really? Okay.
Mind blown.
So does it look like the movies, or it looks like
Yes.
straight out of the book? Because I'm
No,
sure it's a little different.
it looks like the
It
movies.
looks like the movies. Yeah. Okay.
But like there are details in it that are from the books. Like it's like a good marriage of the two.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Okay. I guess the other thing I really wanted to kind of mention was I saw an article that talked about Ray, what Daisy Ridley actually. She was getting interviewed. She's on a press tour for her new movie coming out.
Mhm.
Of course, she's getting asked, as most Star Wars actors do, about what's going on with Star Wars. How are things going, and blah blah blah. And it's one of the things where it's not like she was saying I can't talk about it. She was basically saying how she was very much involved in the writing process right now. Not obviously physically writing, but and she even says she's not really producing, but she's giving her insight. She's following along on. So there's different. There's two things going on really. There's the storyline, which hasn't really, apparently to her, it hasn't really changed. But what's changing, they got a new writer that's looking at and kind of, I guess, massaging some plot points maybe and changing some dialogue and things like that. So,
Okay.
but she's very much involved. She's excited. She says she's very excited. And the article I read just seems like, she seems like she's a little more energized about the Star Wars process now, and being involved, because apparently what it sounds is she really wasn't involved on the other movies except when she showed up to act, obviously.
Oh.
Yeah. Like they didn't bring the actors in and, talk about their characters much. Cause as well as I do, it didn't seem like there was that much planning with that trilogy, it was just kind of move on to the next movie, then write it and, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was just curious. I was just starting to think about that and think about, what could be, what is she excited about? Because we've always kind of been hearing that she's actually not the lead character, right? So it seems like, at least what we're led to believe, that there's other characters that are really kind of, because this is not a Skywalker film. This is not episode 10. This is not episode 10.
Mm-mm.
So what could she be excited about this, in this movie? So I was starting to think about that, and I guess I was thinking that she's got to be. I mean, I think ultimately, and I don't think she's gonna perish per se, but I feel like she's gonna be almost like the Obi-Wan character in A New Hope. And maybe that's what she's excited about, is not being in it that much, but having a really significant role in the development of whoever characters we are introduced to.
Right. I think it's, I love the fact that, and maybe it's asking her, what's Rey's legacy? I really hope she doesn't die like in an Obi-Wan way, because I feel like Star Wars is trying to get to a point where we're seeing the same story over and over and over again. And I'd
Mm.
like something new. but maybe it's, hey, what's the legacy? How would she build it up? Because these actors do know these characters. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why Mark Hamill was not a fan of how Luke was portrayed in the movies, is because he wasn't talked to about it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So it could just be that she's like, oh, I'm more involved, and of course she's going to be more excited about it. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows? It would be great to know what made her so excited about it.
Yeah, and I think I hope it's again. To me, I hope the lead characters are Jedi. I mean, I would hate to have. I guess I mean, you look at the original trilogy and you don't have a Jedi in the technically you don't have a Jedi in the main three yet, right? You eventually get one, but one's a smuggler guy, one's turned into a general, and then you have obviously Leia. So I'm wondering. I do wonder if I guess the one thing I hope doesn't happen is that another kind of retelling of the same story we got, in episode 7, which was kind of the retelling of what, that there's 3 different characters, and I don't know. It's like I do hope if this is a new Jedi Order film, it better be about Jedi. Because I want to see that, and I where did I see this at? I read something somewhere, and I can't remember where. It might have been I was looking at that Timelines book. I might have been reading something like that, but it talked about. Yeah, I think it was in the Timeline book. But after the sequel trilogy, it basically, I think it said something in there where it said the Jedi have, after the Rise of Skywalker, that Rey reestablishes the Jedi as the new keepers of peace in the galaxy, which again, I hope that's true. I hope that we have a whole generation. And I mean, it's only been 15 years, so I don't know how big this thing could be yet, but it can't be, I wouldn't imagine it being like the 10,000 Jedi they had like around episode 1. It's like, I think you can get there with maybe several hundred. Because you can think about Luke, like he didn't have a lot of people when he started. And it took him about 10, 15 years also just to have that first class.
Right, because you have to recruit, you have to train, get people up to a point where they can start training. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and it really depends on what age you grab. Are you grabbing just babies again? Or are you like, you can't probably do that because you're not, you're by yourself. I mean, Rey's by herself. So you're probably trying to grab like maybe 9, 10-year-olds, and at that point it's hard because they're too old apparently, right? It's like, because they have emotion. They have that sense of loss if you're taking them away from their families, so it's definitely going to be hard for her. And I wonder if a lot of that is part of it. Is this part of the struggles of the Jedi Order? But then I think it's more focused on her.
Is it going to be a musical where it's, instead of Book of Mormon, it's the Book of Jedi? Hello.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah.
No, but I mean, it will be very interesting to see what they do with this movie.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't sound like it's, at least right now, it doesn't sound like it's written as a trilogy, or I guess they can only determine it's going to be a sequel, whether or not this thing does anything or not, if it's successful or not. But that's the biggest thing too, is like a one film Star Wars movie. It's, we only got those right now because they were centered around basically one event. Like Rogue One was about stealing the Death Star plans. Solo was just about the rise of Han Solo, becoming who he was. It's like, I mean, that could have probably gone on if it was successful, but but it was a kind of an isolated story. So I wonder if, I mean, you could always keep it open ended, but because I don't think she's going to die in this movie.
Mm-mm.
You know, she's not going to be like Obi-Wan in that sense where she dies, because Rey technically is only 15 years later. I think she's only like 32 years old, 33 timeline wise. So, I mean, she's not the aging Obi-Wan. She's just, I feel like she's going to be that Jedi Master, or maybe she's the Yoda type in this. I don't know. She's obviously the Grand Master.
Yes.
Do you want? Let me ask you this: Do you want to see the same Jedi Order, or do you want to see a different Jedi Order?
It has to be different, right? Like, it's going to have to be different.
I don't know.
I think it's going to
be.
Do
you really
different.
think that the old order was flawed, or do you think that was?
The order that we saw in the prequels was 1,000,000% flawed.
What was flawed about it?
It was the fact that they said you had to disconnect from your emotions and be stupid sticks in the mud.
But they were like that for 25,000 years.
We don't really see that much in the High Republic books, though.
I mean, but the Jedi Order has always been led by a council.
That's fine.
And that council has always been laid by the principles of them protecting the galaxy.
And that's fine. But I guess it's more like the heart of what the Jedi are.
But they've always taken younglings and trained them to become Jedi without attachments. And it's been successful for 25,000 years. And the only reason it fell apart was that you had a Dark Lord of the Sith that manipulated the government to think they were traitors.
But didn't Yoda even say, like, technically the Jedi were flawed? Didn't Yoda say that? Or, like, allude to it? That? Oh, well, actually, in Dark Disciple, they talk about how they were very slippery with the dark side.
Well, there's definitely been Jedi that have flirted with the dark side. Obviously, even Quinlan Voss went to the dark side.
I'm not even talking about flirting. I'm talking about the fact that they themselves were like, wow, we were almost as bad as the Sith. We were about to go assassinate this person.
Well, look, there's never going to be a system that makes the best decision all the time. There's always going to be bad decisions.
But for the sake
the premise, the principles of the Jedi, that's kind of where I think a lot of this, at least I've been getting a little mixed feelings about, like how, especially how in the Acolyte, obviously, like, it was just pointed out to be like Jedi are not all good, and they're not all good. There's definitely bad ones. I mean, there's ones that we know that have turned, that have, made bad decisions in the thought process. But I think, again, the overall principle of the Jedi texts that they all kind of built this from, which we will see apparently in the Dawn of the Jedi movie if we ever get that. But it's like there's an underlying principle there that they are there to serve, and they are there to keep the peace. Mm-hmm. And if it not for Palpatine, they would have probably kept the peace with the baggage of there's probably going to be some bad apples and there's going to be bad decisions. But I don't know what else what I'm getting at is, what else can you do that's not, if you're reestablishing that, if you're not going by the principles that they had before, then what principles are you actually even going to be laying down?
Oh, I'm not even talking about that. I just mean, like, not being so stringent about it. Like, they treated it like it was an absolute evil, and they were like, you absolutely, and we read this in Rise of the Red Blade, they absolutely, like, forbid any studying of the dark side of the Force. I would argue you need to understand, like, if you're going to understand the light side of the force, you need to understand the dark side of the force. You need to understand, like, so the principles don't change. It's how you go about teaching them changes. Like, it's okay to love someone, but you have to love them enough to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a difference between that and, oh, love's bad. No, no love. Bad Jedi. Bad.
Yeah. See, no one ever said that, though.
But that's the you never got that feeling from them. Because that's what, like, watching it, especially as a kid, I'm like, wow, what the heck?
Yeah. But I agree. You know, I think Anakin said it best in episode 2. I'll always remember that line where he's telling Padme, you know, because she said it. I thought love was forbidden, and he says, well, love is forbidden, but you know, compassion is essential to a Jedi's life, and compassion to him is, you know, is almost unconditional love. So he's like, we're encouraged to love, they're encouraged to be compassionate and appreciate life, and so I guess the forbidden part is probably they're not supposed to like get married and have a love life, right? But of course they love life. They want to cherish life. They want to protect life, have compassion for love, you know, for life. But there is that draw, because I think that's like love kind of leads to that jealousy, could lead to anger, which ultimately leads to the dark path, right? So, you know, and you see the contrast, right? You see where Obi-Wan had that opportunity with Satine, right? And he knew that he couldn't do it. He wanted to do it. He wanted to have that, but that just wasn't in the life that he chose, nor not even chose, I guess, in a sense. But that was and I thought that was incredibly powerful to see that in the Clone Wars, because all we knew was kind of Anakin's story of somebody that went the wrong way. Well, you say wrong way. I don't even know if it was a wrong way, because, again, if it wasn't for Palpatine, he could have stayed married to Padme and it would all be fine.
Exactly.
So I agree. I agree there's things that in there that maybe could change. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
I think.
But I do think history. I hope Rey. You know, she has the texts. We saw that. So I do hope that I do hope that the history is preserved in a way.
Mm. Oh, I do believe that needs to happen. The history needs to be preserved. History is important to learn and teach.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but you know, the council, that there's still, I don't know if she could have a council yet, but like that eventually kind of gets established again. And
well, if you think about it, a council's in place because one person can't rule everything at one point or be in charge of everything. So the council's like delegation.
Yeah, right.
So in the beginning, there's not going to be a need for that, but as it grows, then a council will form and all that.
Yeah. Okay, well that's interesting. I'm kind of getting interested in what that movie is going to tell us about the Jedi. I just want to see the Jedi back. That's all. I want to see the Jedi back, or I want to get more stories of the Jedi. That's all. You know, it's like either take me back to like the old Republic era, or
please
take me to the future where there's more Jedi. You know, and again, and you know. Yeah. Exciting.
That's for sure.
We're not going to get that movie for a while anyway, so we will see. All right. See, Hannah, that was actually a short one.
It was son of a gun.
So, so we appreciate everybody hanging out with us, and we'll be back next week to figure out what we're going to talk about then. So We'll see. I am going to start. I think this weekend I'm going to start watching Andor again. So
Smart move.
I may bring up something like that because I haven't seen it in a while, and there might be some things that I want to talk about again with that. So
All right, let's do it.
I'll probably do some more patron videos about that as well. But yeah, join us on Patreon if you guys can. Patreon.com/Inside the Force. Check out our content there. And then, of course, youtube.com/Inside the Force, where we've got Beyond the Sagas coming, where we're talking about stories beyond the Skywalker saga, council sessions, Dark Knowledge, Masters of the Order. We got all kinds of stuff on there. So check those out. And we do have to plan a commentary.
Yes.
Here soon. I think we're both kind of freed up in a sense that we can knock some out. We got to do Empire next. I'm pumped about that. So let's do it here soon. We'll let everybody know when we're going to do that so our patrons can join if they are able to.
Indeed.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.